Good evening, good evening, good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful evening? Come on in, come on in, come on in to the dinner table. Your brother Tony, he has it prepared for some good soul food for the soul. Come on in, come on in. My brother and sister, keep in mind that we may have some guests that want to come by and get some of this good soul food. So be generous and scoot down a little bit and let them sit down and get some of this soul food. And if you don't mind, my brother and sister, you can go ahead and allow them to go in front of you to go ahead and get this good soul food because you know I always have plenty of good soul food for you, my brothers and sisters. If this is your first time at the dinner table, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I talk about relationships. I talk about relationships, brother and sister, because my position when it comes to a relationship, I strongly believe that God had a unique relationship with a man first. Secondly believe that God had a unique relationship with a woman second. I strongly believe that God represented the woman to the man. And I strongly believe that the man said in the presence of God, in regards to the woman Eve, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I should call a woman because she came from man. That's the position that I come from when it comes to a relationship. Now, if you sitting at this dinner table and you have another point of view about relationship, you have what is called a free will. But if you're sitting at this dinner table, I'm letting you know where I come from. I come from a biblical point of view. And with that said, my brother and sister, I'm about to get into what's on the menu for tonight. But need to let you all know that I'm on two different platforms. I'm on Facebook and I'm on YouTube. Those of you that are on YouTube, I may make some comments to those that are on Facebook, but you may not see their names or their comments, but I will call out their names and their comments. And those of you on Facebook, I may say something to those on YouTube. You may not see their names or their comments, but I will call out their names and their comment when I go over it, okay? And I want you, brothers and sisters, to know that we're family here at the dinner table. So I would like for you to express whatever you want to talk about, as long as we talk about the topic that on hand that's on the menu for tonight, okay? So, and if you have a question for me during the time we're at the dinner table, you brother and you sister, you can go ahead and ask a question because we're here to discuss some things. It's not like this, my brother and sister, that I know everything. I don't know everything, but I do know who know everything, and that's God, especially when it comes to a relationship. So God has all the answer for everything, especially when it comes uh about a relationship between a man and a woman. How you doing, brother Walker? How you doing? Welcome to the dinner table. How you doing, sister Simmons? Welcome to the dinner table. My brother and sister, we're in for a little treat tonight, and I hope that you're ready for this good soul food for the soul. On the menu for tonight, when you look at the top of the menu, it is should you stay or go when it comes to infidelity. Again, should you stay or should you go when it comes to infidelity? Now, there are many peoples, my brother and sister, that will leave their relationship at the first hint of infidelity, while there are other peoples that will weigh the pros and cons on whether to stay or leave because they love their mate and they may try to work it out. And there are some people that will attempt to still stay there, but they will want to refine their relationship and they might convert it to roommates. And that's what we're going to talk about at the dinner table. Now, for those people that have at the first hint of infidelity, let me tell you this, my brother and sister, let me put it out there. When you get into a relationship, my brother and sister, no man or no woman would like to think that his or her mate is stepping out of the confinements of a relationship. No man or woman wants that, okay? No man or no woman, that's a no-no. However, listen to this carefully. There is a possibility that your mate may do it. And there's a possibility that you may do it. But hopefully you do not, brother or sister, and hopefully your mate do not. But I want to tell you that, my brother and sister, don't fear getting into a relationship. But there's a possibility that you, brother, or you, sister, may do it, or your mate may do it. But hopefully it doesn't happen. But it does happen. It happened to people. Um, for various reasons. Okay, for various reasons. But as far as infidelity, my brother, sister, do you know the first case of infidelity? Let me tell you the first case of infidelity. The first case of infidelity happened in the Garden of Eden. Okay, it happened in the Garden of Eden. If you remember this, God had a unique relationship with the man Adam, and he had a unique relationship with the woman Eve. Listen to what I'm saying. God had a unique relationship with the man Adam and the woman Eve. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve did not have to want for anything, nothing at all. They just had one boundary, and that boundary was not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the only boundary God gave them, okay? But now some of you saying, I don't see your point talking about infidelity. You know, when it normally comes to infidelity, it involves another person stepping out of your current relationship. Now, if you think about this, my brother and sister, Adam and Eve, they had the perfect relationship. They had the perfect relationship before the man and the woman, and they had the perfect relationship because God was in the middle of the relationship and God was the foundation of the relationship. But what did Adam and Eve do? They stepped outside of the relationship when they got themselves entangled with Satan. And the bottom line is, it's a relationship. It is a relationship. It was, you could say that there was spiritual infidelity. So God knows, my brother, and God knows, my sister, what it's like to want to be faithful to man and woman, but a man and woman turn their back on God because of what appears to be better on the other side. You know what I mean? So that's one case. But what did God do when Adam and Eve um, crossed over and they entertained Satan? God still loved Adam and Eve. He still loved them. He did. He made coats for them to cover them up. But also there was some consequences that came along with it. It's gonna be consequences. But you see, that still did not eliminate God's love for them. But we may talk about that a little later on at the dinner table. But I just want you to keep that in mind, my brother and sister. Now let's talk about the different types of infidelity that can threaten your relationship. My brother and sister, in order to experience infidelity, you have to be in a serious, you have to be committed, and you have to be in a covenant relationship. Now, what do I mean by that? Hold on. I'm going to talk more about that a little later. But now I have two scenarios, my brother and sister, that I'm going to go over this with you, okay? Now, listen to this very carefully. These are two scenarios to listen to. Now, the first scenario, my brother and sister, is that a man, he loved, he loved his mate. He loved his mate. And he thought that everything was fine. He really thought everything was fine. One morning, she went to the restroom. And when she went to the restroom, he noticed that her telephone normally rings, but now it's on vibrate. And a little prior to that, he noticed that his woman, his wife, was getting very protective of the phone. He noticed that when she normally lay around, she'll go in a different room. But for a few weeks, she was really safeguarding that phone. Wherever she go, whenever she get up, she take that phone. And he noticed she took the ringer off, and it started going to vibrate. How you doing, Sister Monica? Welcome to the dinner table. So he was curious about it, but he still loved his wife. He really loved her. So this one particular morning, she went into the restroom. She took a shower, and while she was taking a shower, it started pulsating, right? But she did not have. She forgot to put her lock on the telephone. Prior to that, she used to didn't have no lock on the phone, but she forgot to put a lock on, lock the phone up. So he, out of curiosity, he went to the phone, picked it up, and he started reading some text message that was sent to his wife while she was in the shower singing and everything. So he started reading the text message, and not only did he see about this gentleman that was texting his wife, he also seen some provocative pictures of what the man sent to his wife and he seen some provocative pictures of his wife, what she was sending to this man. My question to you, my brothers and sisters, is that infidelity? And this is another scenario. This man and his wife really loved him. So they didn't really have too many problems in the relationship. Often though they may have some problem, but overall they had a good relationship. Um, One day the guy told his wife that he going out to hang out with the boys, right? So he hung out with the boys. He came back. He came back in the time what she normally would expect him to come back, and he took off his clothes. And then the next day, while his wife was washing the clothes, she would check in the pockets, right? Make sure nothing in the pocket. She reached her hand into the his pocket, and she seen a hotel receipt, and she wondering why he got a hotel receipt in there. Then she had access to the bank account. So without her saying anything, she went to the bank account, and then she looked at the credit card part, and she knew it came directly from him purchasing this hotel room. My question to you, my brother and sister, is that infidelity out of those two scenarios? Now, infidelity, my brother and sister, is defined clearly as it's an act or fact of having a romantic or sexual relationship with someone other than one's husband, wife, or partner. Infidelity, my brother and sister, is a violation of couples' emotional and or sexual exclusiveness that commonly result in feelings of anger, sexual jealousy, and rivalry. That is what infidelity is. Now we're going to go over a few types of infidelity, okay? Now, most people think that infidelity strictly involves physical intimacy, but uh, infidelity, it could be broken up into several segments, and we're going to touch on each one. So just listen, my brother and sister, listen very carefully about some parts of infidelity that you may not have thought about, but it's part of infidelity. Don't just think that infidelity is just physical. It's some more stuff that goes with this infidelity, because you got to understand it, my brother and sister, for infidelity to occur, there got to be a starting point. Okay, there got to be a starting point. So let's go to emotional infidelity. Now, what is emotional infidelity? Emotional infidelity, my brothers and sisters, involve having non-sexual emotional intimacy with someone who is not the individual romantic partner. It is composed of sharing your deepest hopes, your dreams filled with someone other than your mate. That is a form of infidelity. Some people don't think that there's no infidelity, but it is, my brother and sister, because if you're going to share your deepest hope, dream, and fears with someone other than your mate, and you cannot share that with your mate, and your mate don't know nothing about you sharing all that with another person, what do you call it then? What do you call it? Another form of infidelity, my brothers and sisters, is called romantic infidelity. Now, some people say, what is romantic infidelity? I can understand the emotional infidelity, but what is the emotional infidelity? I mean, the romantic infidelity. My brother and sister, romantic infidelity, when you are romancing someone other than your mate, that mate that you're supposed to be serious, that mate that you're supposed to be in a committed, that mate that you're supposed to be in a covenant relationship with. Romantic infidelity, when you are romancing someone else other than your partner, and it's these are some examples. You like going to the movie with this person, your mate doesn't know about it. You like going to lunch with this person, your mate doesn't know anything about it. You like going to dinner with this person, your mate doesn't know anything about it. You like meeting for coffee or drinks with this person, your mate doesn't know anything about it. You like taking walks in the park and holding hands and acting like you Prince Charming in the Princess, and you just taking that long stroll. Nobody don't know, your person don't know about it. Or you sending those early morning texts like, how you doing, handsome? How you doing, beautiful? I hope that you having a good day, but your mate doesn't know that about it. Or when you could be getting those text messages throughout the day saying, I just checking on you. I just want to check on, see how your day is. Or before you go to sleep at night, they send you that text. You send in that text saying, good night, sweetheart, using all those type of tender words, whereas you don't really use them with your mate. Is that infidelity? That is romantic infidelity. Now, uh, Clyde Air said, how you doing? How you doing, Clyde Air? Welcome to the dinner table. Clyde Air said, I think my ex-girlfriend cheated on me. I never caught her outright, but there were a lot of little signs. Eventually, I just got tired and left her. She came back later, but I told her to stay in the streets. Um, Clyde Air, you made a good point. Let me address Clyde Air, and that's a very good point, Clyde Air. Let me tell you this, my brother and sister. How should I say this? Every man, when you look at it from a sociology standpoint, sociology, not psychology, but sociology, we all basically got pattern and behavior. We all basically got a pattern behavior. As a matter of fact, there's a show that come on TV called Cheaters, and a lot of you have seen this show called Cheaters, right? It could be the man getting cheated on or the woman getting cheated on. But when you first look at cheaters, you know they be in front of this green screen, right? It could be a man or a woman. They're talking, right? And what that man and woman do, they give you a chronological uh, viewpoint of how his or her relationship started. And they normally tell you how good the relationship was at the beginning or for a while. But then you wait for that contrast. You will hear them say, but, or you will hear them say, however. You see, whenever you hear a contrast like but or however, it changes from what was previously said to something that's opposite coming right after it, right? So the men and women that be on the program called Cheater, what they, like I said, they'll normally say how good the relationship was. But then, and this go for men and women, the man or the woman, they notice a behavior or pattern change in their mate. So when it comes to infidelity, my brother and sister, you may can get away with it for a moment. You may can do it. You may can slick through it. But guess what? What you need to understand this. A person can pick up on changing in behavior. And you see the thing about cheating, you could try to be a good actor or actress, you can get your Oscar or whatever, but that person, he or she will be able to detect the change of that pattern behavior. It may take a minute, but it's going to change because you could try to do as much as you can, brother, sister. I'm just talking to you, brother and sister. If you the one, you got a pattern behavior, but like it come to your mate, you going to get some red flag like Clyde Air stated. He stated that he noticed little signs. What he's talking about, he noticed some red flags. And let me tell you something, my brother and sister. Most of the time, when you start seeing little changes in red flag, more than likely it is what it is. It is what it is. Some people, when they see the red flags in a relationship, when their mate is stepping out on them some kind of way, like in an emotional, romantic, and I'm going to get to the physical part shortly, you could tell because the person is going to change. They may try to stay on point, but they're going to change. Now the question is, and this is a debatable question. They would say that women are more smarter when it comes to cheating than men. That's what the society say. Women are smarter when it comes to cheating men. They will say men are sloppy. But let me tell you this: when it comes to the if you want, we talk about the thing infidelity, but I'm going to change that after a while. When it comes to that, my brother and sister, when you look at the show Cheater, you have men's up there talking, and they knows the pattern change and the behavior as well as women. So Who is the smartest? Who are able to get away with it? Neither one. Because there are some women that are just as sloppy as men. There are some men that are more keen on their woman pattern and behavior than others, and vice versa. So when it comes to who the smartest, who can get away with it the most, neither one. Neither one. It could be him or her. So neither one is the smartest. As a matter of fact, the person that probably is not doing it, they're more keen on being able to detect it. Now, let me tell you another part about that too. There are some men and some women, they could be into their infidelity stuff, and they could be so guilt ridden in their mind, they start accusing their mate of cheating. There's a lot of relationship like that. It might be a man, he may accuse his wife, I know you're doing something, I know you're doing something, but all the while he's doing something. That's what happened to some warped minds of some men. And some women, they do the same thing. They say, I know you're doing something. I know you're doing something. But they doing that little dirt too. Let me y'all give you a situation. Let me give you a situation. As you know, my brother and sister, I do consultation on the outside. Now, the people that I'm about to talk about are not calling no name. The lady right now, she is deceased, and her husband is deceased. But this is the latest story before she became deceased. Okay? This is what happened. She stated that her and her husband had a very, very good relationship. She said that he was a good, hard working man, and she would not leave him for the world. This is what this lady said. How you doing, Sister Flo? Welcome to the dinner table. Even though she said that, this man was trying to please his wife. He was trying to please her. This man was trying to please his wife so much, whereas she was staying home and he had 2 and 3 extra jobs, right? So she enjoyed the big house and everything, but he had to get another job. He was trying to please her, right? So when he got home and she wanted to be physical intimate with the man, this man got 2 or 3 jobs. Of course, he was tired. And she said that he was not giving her a lot of physical attention. And when he did give her physical attention, it was not that long. She said it didn't last for like more than 2 minutes. And you know what I'm talking about, my brother and sister. We're adults here, right? So she said it didn't take that long. She said, so time he did his thing, he'll roll over and go to sleep. And she said he left her hanging and frustrated. But you see, the thing about it is, she coerced him to get this bigger house. They was living within their means before they moved. So she kept on, and just to quote unquote make her happy, he put in this house, but he had to get an extra job. She didn't do nothing. All she did was basically stay home. But now she putting more pressure on his man. So he trying to make up for when he was lack of income. How you doing, such a sheriff? So what this lady did, she started going outside her house for her medicine, right? And you all know what I'm talking about. So she went outside for her medicine, and then, but in her mind, she said that she was not going to leave her husband because he's still a good provider. Other than that, he was okay. But as time went by, she got all hooked up more with this other outside activity. So lo and behold, her husband was at this he was at this particular motel with a young lady, right? And when he was at this particular motel with this young lady, she pulled up in her car with this man that she was having physical activity with. So she noticed her husband's car there, and she noticed him going into a room with a lady. She seen it from the outside. So she seen the room he was going in. Then she made a call to the man's sister. So at that time, she didn't want to do nothing with man. She was so pissed off because she seen her husband going in the room with another woman, right? So she called the man's sister and act like she heard something through the grapevine. She got something from Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight, or Roger Troutman. You know that song called "Heard It Through the Grapevine." So she told the man's sister that your brother, I got information that your brother at this particular motel with this lady, and I even got the room number. But she did not tell the man. She did not tell the man's sister that she saw her brother going in the room with this other lady because she was there. She didn't tell that part. So her sister-in-law came, picked her up, and they went straight back to the motel. They went to the room, and the sister knocked on the door, and she stood on the side of the door, right? So when the man opened the door, he was surprised to see his sister there. And the lady, she just pushed the door open, and she caused all kind of havoc at the hotel, right? And the other lady, she was in there. So after everything was said and done, I told the lady, I said, "You are a hypocrite." And she said, "What do you mean I'm a hypocrite?" I said, "Because what your husband did, it was wrong. What you were doing was wrong. You seen him at the hotel with this lady. You going to a hotel with this man to do the same thing your husband was doing. Both of you all was wrong." And she went to her grave believing that she was not wrong. She said he was caught. She wasn't caught. And that's what a whole lot of men and women think. If they doing their little thing on the side, and then they find out they may doing something on the side, just because they didn't get caught, they want to play like they the victim. And there are a lot of relationships, my brother and sister, like that. The woman complaining about what her man are doing, and vice versa. He complaining what his woman doing, and both of them doing the same thing, which is wrong. It's the infidelity part. Now, this is the crucial part. Now we're going to get to. I just talked to you, brother and sister, about the emotional infidelity and the romantic infidelity, now the physical infidelity. The physical infidelity, my brother and sister, is often considered to be sexual intercourse outside of the relationship. However, this fails to include sexual activity. A broader definition, listen to this, my brother and sister, a broader definition of physical infidelity include, but is not limited to, masturbation in the presence of someone. You don't actually have to have physical intercourse with them, but you could be masturbating someone in front of someone. That's part of physical intimacy. Oral sex, that's a part of physical intimacy. Sexual playing, that's part of physical intimacy. Kissing someone other than your mate, part of physical intimacy. Flirting with someone is part of physical intimacy. And visiting strip club, that's part of physical intimacy. Now, going back to the flirting part, there are some men and there are some women, they are very flirtatious. And these men and women, they will call themselves social butterfly. Beware of when someone say they're a social butterfly, my brother. So it could be a man or a woman. Flirtation, it is a sign of disrespect. Listen to me, my brother and sister. It is a sign of disrespect, especially when you going out in public. When a woman flirting with other men in front of her man. When a man flirting with other women in front of his woman. And this another thing too. Some of you may not disagree with this, some of you may not. Like, say for instance, my brother and sister, you go out to dance with one another. Now, some of you may not see nothing wrong with it, but I do. You brother, you sister, you going out to dance with your mate. And brother, a man come over to you and say, "Can I dance with your wife?" A sister, a woman come over to you and say, "Can I dance with your husband?" They should have brought their own husband and wife if they wanted to dance. That's what they should have done. That's how I look at it. Dance with who you came with. That's my stand on it. I firmly believe in that. Now going ahead. Now there's another. Now you see, when it comes to a physical infidelity, my brother and sister, this normally break a lot of people up, the physical part. But you got to understand it, my brother and sister, before it get to the physical infidelity, there's something that normally take place first, and it's either the emotional infidelity, whereas that man or woman is they are involved with one another on a non-sexual or friendship, quote unquote, but they sharing so much of their soul with the other person more than they may. They're sharing their hopes, their dreams, they feel their most deepest thoughts and feeling with the other person, whereas they're not doing it with their mate. That is some real stuff, emotional infidelity. And then the romantic infidelity, like I told you, my brother and sister, that's when you brother or you sister, if a man or woman in a serious committed covenant relationship, you going out with someone else and you acting so romantic with them. And you know what I said? I said, like going to the movie, it's like going to dinner, it's like going to lunch, me for coffee or drinks, walking in the park, holding hand, flirting, texting, good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, handsome. Good morning, beautiful. Going on trips together. This means your mate have no knowledge of it. You see, your mate don't have no knowledge of you doing all this stuff with this other person, but you really don't have to have sex with the romantic infidelity. You really don't. You're doing everything else but the sex. But you see, the mate doesn't know it. And the mate doesn't know about the emotional infidelity. But now here go what some people said the biggie. The biggie is the physical intimacy. And like I said, it's not only about the intercourse, the sexual intercourse, it's about, like I said, it's about masturbation. Masturbation is when a man or woman fondling themselves sexually, but the masturbation is taking place in front of another man or another woman that is not your mate. Then the oral sex with someone other than your mate. Sexual playing with someone other than your mate. Kissing with someone other than your mate. Flirting with someone other than your mate. Visiting strip clubs with someone other than your mate. Taking trips with someone other than your mate, and then y'all end up, because you know when you're taking a trip with someone else, you know what more than likely going to happen. Come on, my brother and sister. If a man and a woman going on a little trip with another man or woman that's not their husband or wife, we already know what's going to happen when they get on the trip. We already know that they're going to go beyond emotional infidelity. We know that they're going to go beyond the romantic infidelity. We know that the physical intimacy is going to go down before they come back. We already know that. It ain't no hard to be where a man and woman go on a trip with somebody else and nothing not going to happen. Not hardly. I'm going to be generous. 10 men and 10 men go out with someone other than their wife. 10 women go out with someone other than their husband. They go on a little trip. How many of these men and women do you think not going to have physical intimacy with the person they went out of town with? And I'm being generous. I would say maybe one man, maybe one woman is not going to be physical intimate. And I'm being generous. I didn't say all 10. I said, I'm saying one man and one woman may not do it for whatever reason. But majority of the time, they're going to get to that physical intimacy. That's what normally happens, especially if they already got an emotional tie to one another and they already doing this romantic stuff. They're going to do it when they're going to get more involved mental and emotional. They're going to be playing a part. They're going to be very romantic with one another, and they're going to end up probably in the same bed. And this is how it goes. A lot of my brothers and sisters, you know what I'm about to say is the truth. The man may tell the woman, let's go on a trip, and we could sleep in different beds. That's what he may say. Or the woman said, let's go, we could sleep in different rooms. But we already know it could be 2 beds in that room. That they're gonna get they're going to end up in the same bed with one another. We already know that if it's 2 rooms, more than likely you're going to be in an adjacent room, and then probably going to be a door to go into another. They're going to find a way to get to one or the other room, and we know it's going to go down. Let's not fool ourselves, brothers. Let's not fool ourselves, sisters. We know. And then there's this other type of infidelity. Well, a lot of people don't really think it's infidelity. They think that it's innocent, but it's not innocent. And that is online infidelity. Online infidelity, my brother and sister, is defined as to be emotional, sharing personal information to a stranger online, and sexual, engaging in cyber sex, having long been cited as a major reason for divorces. Don't you know, my brother and sister, social media is big on causing married men and women to get a divorce these days? A long time ago, brother and sister, we didn't have no dating sites and stuff like that, did we? We didn't have no like that dating site called Ashley Some, you know, and their slogan was something like, let me see, Ashley, what the name of the dating site for married people? Guess that they're for married people. You know, you only live for a short period of time, so have fun. Some kind of crap like that. So this Ashley Stewart or something like that, I think that's the name of it. You could check it out. But it is a dating site for married people. A lot of stuff go down, my brother and sister, due to social media. Like Facebook. We have what is called on Facebook, we have what is called that DM box. There's a lot of stuff, my brother and sister, that go down in the DM. A lot of you sisters know about it. A lot of you sisters know that a lot of men be jumping into the DM, right? And not only that, there's a lot of women that jump into the man's DM. So it can go both ways. A lot of times you get hookups through stuff like Facebook and these dating sites. Whereas a long time ago, we did not have this kind of stuff. And that could be a form of temptation, my brothers and sisters. It can. And that's called online infidelity. Called online infidelity, you put yourself into a dream world. That's what you're doing. You don't know the person. The person may look handsome, ladies. The woman may look beautiful and fine, brothers. Or it may not even be them at all. And then again, it could be. But you going by what you looking at. You don't know nothing about that man. You don't know nothing about that woman. And a lot of time, people, you get so wrapped up when somebody jump into your DM, when somebody be liking all your pictures, when someone always complimenting you, then you think they like you. And a lot of time they may do like you. And then here they go, they're gonna slip into the DM. And when they slip into the DM, then you know, then that's when they start asking for what's your telephone number, how can we get in contact with one another, and all that kind of stuff. But you, brother, and you, sister, you're supposed to be in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship. Remember those first 2 scenarios that I told you about? The man seeing some text messages, provocative picture from his wife, and his wife seeing a hotel receipt in her husband's pocket. Is that infidelity? It is infidelity, my brother and sister. On one, the woman, she is with the text message, that goes for she getting involved emotionally with this guy. And then she's showing her body part to this other man that's supposed to be for her husband, even though she didn't have physical sex with the man. You understand? But it's still a form of sex, okay? Romantic sex, if you want to call it that. And then the man, he had a hotel receipt in his pocket. So that indicates possibly that he had physical intimacy with this other woman. So my question to you, my brother and sister, which is the worst? The woman scenario or the man scenario? Both of them are on equal grounds. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are wrong because guess what? Neither one of their partners knew about what was going on. They hid that from their partner. Why did they hide it from their partner? Why did the lady hide her text messages and start changing and put locks and stuff on her phone? She didn't want her husband to know something. Why did the man act like he wanted to go out with his boy, but he ended up in a hotel room? He didn't want his wife to know, right? But both of them was wrong. Both of them was wrong in that scenario, my brother and sister. Now, my question to you, my brother and sister, tonight: do you have to be in a bad relationship to experience infidelity? Really, do you have to be in a bad relationship to experience infidelity? My answer to you, my brother and sister, is no, you do not have to be in a bad relationship to experience infidelity. Brother, you could have a good relationship with your woman. Sister, you could have a good relationship with your man, serious, committed, and covenant relationship. But does that stop you or your mate from infidelity? Does it stop you? Is that full proof that could stop you? Let's go back to the Garden of Eden again, like I started out earlier. Remember, I said that was the first case of infidelity. The first part in it was spiritual infidelity, what Adam and Eve did against God. They had the perfect relationship. The perfect relationship. They lived in a perfect environment. They had perfect harmony. They had harmony. Adam and Eve had perfect harmony with one another. They had perfect harmony with God individually, and they had perfect harmony with God collectively. But yet that was not good enough. Adam and Eve flirted with Satan. They thought what Satan had was better than what God had given them. How can you mess that up? Adam and Eve did. Now, a man and a woman is not Adam and Eve. A man and a woman is the seed of Adam that came down generation. Okay? So for a man or woman to say that they won't do it, don't ever say what you won't do. Just say that you hope that you do not do it. Adam and Eve did it, and they was in a perfect relationship. They had perfect everything. Adam and Eve did not have to do anything. They had just one boundary: don't eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. But they turned their back on God and flirted and got in a relationship with Satan. And everything was good. Everything was good, perfect. We don't know what it's like to have that type of relationship with our mate and with God at the same time. We don't know. We never experienced it. But Adam and Eve had it, quote unquote, all. Now, man and woman, an imperfect man and an imperfect woman, they could be in a good relationship. The man and his wife could be in a real good relationship. The woman and her husband could be in a good relationship. But that man, he could get tempted, or that woman could get tempted and do one of these: the emotional infidelity, the romantic infidelity, or the physical infidelity. Most people are afraid of the physical infidelity. But guess what? That emotional infidelity, that's stronger. That's strong. That's why right now, when a man, you know what? It appears, I put it that way, it appears like when a man and a woman get into these type of infidelity, it appears that women can handle the physical infidelity better than men. It appears like men can handle because of the pride and stuff like that. And then the emotional infidelity, men feel that the most. You know what? Because you see, a lot of time when men have physical intimacy with another woman outside their relationship, most men, they go into it and they thinking, oh, this is a physical thing. I'm not going to get mentally or emotionally attached to the woman. That's what a lot of men think. Okay. But On the other hand, if a man find out that his woman is physical intimate with someone, and you see the thing about it, a lot of time, not all the time, but a lot of time when women do that kind of stuff, they eventually they get emotional. A lot of time they probably have been emotionally tied to the man because they probably been talking to him anyway and doing other things, and then they end up physical intimate. Then that just take the emotional infidelity or emotional bond to another level. That's when we get to the soul ties. You understand? That's when we get to the soul tie. So, my brother and sister, all of this can damage your relationship, and especially and that the other newer thing, the online infidelity, people doing a whole bunch of hookup. My brother and sister, they doing it like on through social media. They're jumping on these dating sites. I mean, they just wilding out a whole bunch of people. It make a whole, as one time when we didn't have all of that, that did not eliminate infidelity. But now when you got all this stuff and all this variety of things, it have increased infidelity. That's why I just told you, my brother and sister, online infidelity has been cited as a major reason for divorces. Online hookups. That's right, my brother and sister, online hookups. Do you remember that question that I asked you all earlier at the dinner table, my brother and sister? I said, in order to experience infidelity, you have to be in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship. Now, a serious and covenant relationship means that you are married. And now, remember, I kept using the word infidelity. But now we get into God's point of view now. You see, when a man and woman is if a man and woman is a serious, committed, covenant relationship, that means that they are married. So therefore, if a man or a woman that is married get into infidelity, it is called adultery. That's what God called it. God doesn't call it infidelity. God called it adultery. Jesus said that if a man looketh upon a woman and lust after her in his heart, he has already committed adultery with her. So what Jesus is saying, a man doesn't actually have to physically be inside of a woman to commit adultery. It starts on the inside of the heart. That means your thoughts. That's what Jesus is saying. And that's the same thing for women. It occurs in the thought first. Because more than likely, when it gets to the physical part of relationship, it has ran against in that man's mind and that woman's mind. And most of the time, when it gets to the physical part of that, the man and woman, they mostly going to get somewhere where they isolated. Most men and women, if they're going to do this, married men and women, they're going to get isolated. Too many people are not going to be around when they do it. And God called it adultery. Now, can you commit infidelity when you are single and you're dating someone? That's the question. Can you commit infidelity when you're single? From God's point of view, if you're single, and I have said this several times, if you're single, God doesn't see you as being engaged or married. You see, in God's mind, God would like for you to be engaged, moving towards marriage, not playing in the engagement period, but that's how God identifies relationship between the man and woman. But God don't have no problem for man and woman when they say, I do, get married, and then they be physical intimate with one another. That's from God's point of view. It's not from Tony's point of view. So if a man and a woman are quote unquote not married, but they call themselves going together, they call themselves a couple, they call themselves living together, God does not put his stamp of approval as that is a relationship. Now, your family, your friends, your co-workers, social media may say y'all in a good relationship. God don't look at it that way, especially when you're having sex. If you brother and you sister, if you're single and having sex with someone and you're not married, if you're living together and having sex with someone and you're not married. God have a name for that. And from God's point of view, if you're not married, it's called fornication. Now, my brother and sister, fornication is generally consensual sexual intercourse between two people not married. That's what the dictionary say. It said fornication is general consensual sexual intercourse between two people not married to each other. When one or more of the parties have consensual sexual intercourse is married to another person, that's adultery. Adultery is only used when at least one of the parties involved, either the male or the female, is married. Whereas fornication may be used to describe two people who are unmarried to each other or anyone else engaging in consensual sexual intercourse. Now, according to the book of Hebrews 13:4, Hebrews 13:4, Hebrews 13:4 said both, it basically said both fornication and adultery are sins, and in God's view, he strictly is against it. Now, should you stay in a relationship when it comes to infidelity? And this is the question that was on the dinner table tonight at the top of the menu. Should you stay or should you go when it comes to infidelity? Now, my brother and sister, let me tell you this. Infidelity, the way we like to use that little cute word, we don't like to use adultery and we don't like to use fornication. So for the sake of talking at the dinner table, I say infidelity, okay? Now, infidelity, should you stay or should you leave? Like I said earlier, my brother and sister, there are some couples that if they get a hint of infidelity, they gone. Then there are some couples that when they find out about infidelity, they look at the pros and cons, they try to weigh it and say, should I go or should I stay? And then there's this other group, they will say, okay, the relationship over, but we could be roommates. Believe it or not, my brother and sister, there's some relationship like that, the roommate thing. Now, to the first couple, brother and sister, I know that you don't want infidelity to happen to your relationship. I understand that. But when you went into a relationship, that's why I always tell you, brother and sister, never put your mate or yourself on a pedestal. Never do that. The only person that on a pedestal is Jesus. Am I endorsing infidelity? No, I'm not endorsing it. But you got to be aware of it, my brother and sister. If you are if you're about to get engaged to somebody and get married, there's a strong possibility that it may happen. Your mate may do it or you may do it. Hopefully you don't do it. You brothers and sisters that listen to me, there have been some times in your life that you have said you wouldn't do a certain thing, but you did it. You know the thing that go around, never say never. Never say never, my brother and sister. Just say this. You hope that you don't do it. You better not put yourself in a situation that you will do it, my brother and sister, because let me tell you, my brother and sister, there is a thing called temptation, especially when you get engaged, moving toward marriage or you're married. It's coming at you stronger then. It's coming at you stronger because, brother and sister, if you're trying to please the Lord, you, brother, and your wife, and sister, you and your husband, you're trying to please the Lord. That's when Satan and his artillery coming at you. They want to stain your relationship. They want to stain your relationship before other men and other women. They want to stain your testimony. Satan will bring the most handsome man to you, sister. One of his elite sons. Brother, Satan will bring one of his most beautiful and finest daughters to you. She's elite. Just to trip you up, just to kill your testimony. That's why I tell you, brother and sister, I have said it before, I'm going to say it again. Why do some of you brothers, why do some of you sisters, when you find out that a preacher has stepped out and did something with a woman in the congregation or a woman somewhere, why does that trip you out? Why does it trip you out? I'm not encouraging it, but why does that trip you out? Before the man is a preacher, he is a man. Even though he's a preaching a man, he has more responsibilities. That man shouldn't have done that because that will hurt his testimony. It will hurt it. But if the congregation look at that man and say, okay, he can be restored, or his wife, she can be restored. Jesus can restore the preacher. He can restore the sister. You see, Jesus don't want us doing stuff like that. God, Jesus don't want to fornicate, and he does not want us to commit adultery. He don't want us to do none of that. You see, Jesus is different than man. If a man or woman does that, the men and women outside, they won't forgive you like Jesus. Jesus will forgive you, and he won't bring it back up to you. A man or woman, they won't forgive you too much. So that's why I tell you, brother and you sister, especially when you about to get engaged, do not ever put your mate on a pedestal. The best you can hope for that he or she doesn't do it. You don't be with your mate all the time. Your mate don't be with you all the time. Just like the early scenario that I told you about, the woman, husband caught that stuff going on her phone. And like I told you about, the lady caught this hotel receipt in her husband's pocket. And let me tell you this, these were good relationships. These were marriage relationships. They was good. You see, some people think that the relationship, you got to have problems in your relationship. You do not have to have problems in your relationship. Things outside can come and infiltrate your relationship. Don't ever think that when you hear a man or woman that stepped out on his or her husband or wife that they must have a problem in there. He wasn't getting what he need, or she wasn't getting what she need. They could be getting everything they need in a relationship, but they decide to go outside the relationship. They go for a man or a woman. They decide to do it. But the question is, should you stay or should you go? Now, the world would say, go. The word would say, if somebody do that against me, go. And and I know it will be a hurtful thing, my brother. I know that'll be a hurtful thing, and you find out your mate done that. But if you didn't put your mate up there where Jesus at, and it happened, you can deal with it better. But you see, the thing is, most men and women, they look at their mate and say, he or she won't do that. Don't ever get to that point. Don't ever get to that point, because if you get to that point and it happens, that's why you'll be quick to go in a relationship. And remember the scenario that say some people, when they get a hint up, they be ready to go. Just imagine this, my brother and sister. Just imagine this. Jesus said, if a man look upon a woman and lust after her in his heart, he have already committed adultery with her. Just imagine this, my brother and sister. If you are in a serial committing covenant relationship, brother, just imagine if you could read your wife's mind. Just imagine if you had the ability to read your wife's mind. Sister, just imagine if you had the ability to read your husband's mind. There would not probably be a whole bunch of marriages together now. If God gave you the ability, brother and sister, to read one another's mind, you probably wouldn't do it. It probably wouldn't be many people married today if God could do it. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just being realistic, my brother and sister, to let you all know the real deal. So you could understand, be real. Be to the point, my brother and sister, that you're not naive. Be at the point where you realize that that man or woman that you're with have weaknesses. If it's not infidelity, it's some other kind of weakness. And guess what, brother? So you have a weakness. You understand? So, brother and sister, you got to understand this. Jesus will forgive. He will forgive, but you can't keep doing that against Jesus. Because let me tell you this, my brother and sister, Once you step out your relationship, you hurt Jesus first before you hurt your mate. You see, you think you're hurting your mate, and you think that you're gonna cover up so your mate won't see it, but Jesus see it. You think you don't want your mate to hear it, but Jesus hear it. You don't want your mate to read it, but Jesus read it. Everything that's secret, Jesus know about it, my brother and sister. So you do it against him first. You looking to see, can you get, you looking here and there, trying to make sure your mate don't see it, but Jesus see it. That's what a lot of us don't realize. Jesus see it. We can't hide from Jesus. Everything is open in his eyesight, but we more concerned with what our mate think than what Jesus think. When it shouldn't be, my brothers and sisters. Now, should you stay or should you stay or go? My thing to you, my brother and sister, weigh the pros and cons in your relationship, okay? Now, some people say you talking crazy. Weigh the pros and cons in your relationship. Don't make a rash decision. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. There's a possibility, my brother and sister, that your relationship can be restored. When it comes to husband and wife, my brothers and sisters, when I do consultation, I never tell a man or a woman to leave their spouse. I never do it. Now, if you're not married, you're a free agent. You all know what I think about that. If you're not married, you're a free agent. But if you're married, you can work on your marriage, brothers and sisters. Brother and sister, whatever you did with that other person, if if you if your mate asks you, have you been with someone else? And don't just think that they talk about physical, that's the first thing you come to your mind. If your mate asks you some question like, have you been seeing someone that I don't know about? Have you been communicating with someone that I don't know about? Because for some people, you got to be very specific with them. You have to say, have you been sharing in your hopes, dreams, of deep feeling with someone else? You have to get real detailed with some people because they're going to try to look for their way out. Or you could say, have you been flirting with anybody since we've been together? You ain't got to now. Have you been going to lunch or dinner with someone that I don't know about? Have you been meeting someone that I don't know about? Have you been sending those good morning, good day texts and all that to someone that I don't know about? Have you been on a trip with someone? Have you been doing anything with someone other than me? Or have you had a physical intimacy with someone else? Those are some straight questions. Now, my brother and sister, if you ask those type of questions and your mate is truthful and transparent with you, you ask the question. So be prepared for the truth. And I always tell you, brother and sister, don't lie to your mate. Don't tell no partial lie. Don't tell no partial lie. If you're going to say part of the truth or half the truth, don't even say nothing at all. Because part of the truth is a lie. You got to be 100% with your mate. And I'm telling you, my brother and sister, if you want to ask questions like that, be prepared for some truth, because you may have a mate that will tell you the truth. Now, if that happened in your relationship, I'm telling you, married people, there's a possibility that you can restore your relationship. You can weigh the pros and cons. It's going to be hard, and be realistic. The relationship will never be the same like it was. I just got to be realistic. The relationship is not going to be the same because you're human and you have a memory, but you can forgive and don't bring it up. It's going to take a whole lot of trust. That's why I tell you, brother and sister, do not put 100% trust in your mate. You only put 100% trust in God. Never, ever put 100% in a man or a woman, because a man and woman will hurt you. That man and woman will disappoint you. That man and woman will probably leave you. That man or woman may do something. That's why you see, the only thing with Jesus, Jesus will never hurt you. Jesus will never leave you. Jesus is the only one that will never hurt you. Jesus is the only one that will never disappoint you. Jesus is the only one that will never leave you. Outside of Jesus, it's possible. With Jesus, you ain't got to worry about that stuff. 100 with Jesus. But you can have a high level of love for your mate. Now, my brothers and sisters, that's the story. Take it or leave it. Then there's some people right now, they get to the point where they just want to be roommates. That's how some people say it. We'll just be roommates. And there's a lot of relationship now, they just roommates. He doing his thing and she doing her thing. And then they decide we'll just be roommates. And they don't bring nothing up. But he know that she doing her thing, and she know that he doing his thing, but they don't bring it up. But they know that somebody else or somebody's is out there. But they roommates now. That's a bad type of relationship to be in. You was all lovey-dovey. You got serious, committed, and married, and now you roommates. You roommate. It's something wrong with that picture. And let me tell you something. There are some people that they reduce their relationship. Or a lot of times when people come roommate, it's basically for a financial reason. It's basically for financial reason. For overhead. That's what it's based about. And then every now and then, the man and woman, they may actually play like they real husband and wife, but it get bad when you playing husband and wife and you just roommate. My recommendation, my brother and sister, you can overcome that. You can overcome it. It's up to you, but you have to pray, and God can help you sustain your relationship, and He can cause it to get better. But it will never be the same. But He can cause it to get better. Okay. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. If you have a comment, you can make your comment. Or if you have a question, you can ask your question. If not, I'm going to let you go now, my brother and sister. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. Peace out.